Chelsea have just completed World Football after lifting the Club World Cup after beating PSG 3-0 in MetLife Stadium. But Chelsea haven't won the Premier League since 2016-2017, where we accumulated 93 points. However, this begs the question of how can Chelsea win it again in this upcoming season? We discuss in today's video. Cue the intro. What's going on YouTube? It is Rico. Back another video. I know you saw that intro, but in today's video we're going to be talking about how Chelsea will win the Premier League. Tactically, we're going to go through lineups and see how we can line up, how we can confuse opposition in this video, and see how we can work out a 38 game season to eventually crown us champions in this upcoming season, which I think is very possible. So without further ado, let's just jump straight in. So we need to understand how Chelsea truly line up. In this game, this is the Chelsea PSG game where we actually beat them 3-0. This was the lineup that was on paper. You have Rob Sanchez in goal. You have a back four of Gusto, Chalobah, Colwill, and Cucurella. You have a midfield or double pivot of Reece James and Moises Caicedo, and then you have a front four of Palmer, Fernandes, Neto, and João Pedro. However, this did change throughout the game in possession, and it looks something like this, creating a front five and a back five. You have Fernandes more advanced, Cole Palmer taking that right hand 10 pocket. You have Gusto playing right wing, Neto playing left wing, and then João Pedro up top. So you can see it kind of like splits out, makes a little bit of a star. You have your front five here, you have your back five here. You have Moises Caicedo and Reece James in that pivot, but you also have a midfield four instead of a midfield three. That looks like right here. You can see only looks like a midfield trio right here, like a little triangle, which is what PSG did in this game. But instead, in possession, it actually was a midfield square with Fernandes and Palmer joining the midfield from this. He was here from this right wing position, went to the 10, playing in that right hand side pocket, which he's best in, which meant that Gusto bombed up here from this right back spot to the right wing spot, and then you have your three in defense in Cucurella, Colwill, and Chalobah. And Cucurella also had the ability to advance a little bit, play this little switch with Caicedo if he wanted to, and let Caicedo play left back. One genius thing that Maresca actually did in this game with Malo Gusto was, letting him bomb up the pitch, which we know he's best at. We know that's probably his best attribute is bombing up the pitch, cutting in, finding players, assisting, which he actually did in this game too, Cole Palmer. So playing from this right back spot and bombing up the pitch. But to compensate for that, Maresca understood if Gusto's bombing up the pitch, probably a liability in defense. So, how do you counter that? How do you counter Gusto just bombing up the pitch? Playing with this width and, being an attacking force, which he's best at from that right back spot. Still a pretty good defender from the right back spot, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a bad defender at all, but definitely when you think of Gusto as a right back, you think of his attacking prowess more than his, defensive prowess. So how did Maresca compensate for this? You can see I dropped Reece James a little bit back, and we all know Reece James isn't a true midfielder. He's a right back. So what he did was he would just bring Reece James right here, bring Chalobah in, create a back four, and then you still have your midfield three, and then Gusto's basically just playing right wing and making a back five when he comes back to defend, because you already have these four. You have Cucurella, Colwill, James, and Chalobah, and then you have Gusto making this little back five that they used against PSG, which was uber effective. So yeah, that's how Chelsea really lined up in that game against PSG, making like a star, a front five and then a back five. Obviously, Robert Sanchez did have a great game too. He was able to just boot the ball long and rely on his shot stopping, which he's obviously best at. But yeah, that's how we lined up in the game against PSG. But I expect a lot of different variations this season, because if we look at our transfer targets, you can see we have Garnacho, we have Morgan Rogers, we have Jarell Hatso, who can play left back or left center back, and then you have Xavi Simons. There's one thing that correlates with every single one of these players, and that is that they are all versatile. If we go here, you can see Garnacho is predominantly a left winger. He can play on the right if need be. He can play the 10 if need be, but he's predominantly a left winger. Don't really like to see him in any other position besides the left wing, cutting in and shooting on his right foot. But he's capable, I guess, of playing in other positions. But definitely best at just playing in that left wing spot. Morgan Rogers is great across the entire attacking board. Can play left wing, can play right wing, can play the 10, can play the false 9, as well as Xavi Simons. And then you also have Jarell Hatto, who is your left center back, left back hybrid, kind of like a Cucurella who can do that as well. But yeah, you can see the two attackers right here in Morgan Rogers and Xavi Simons, two very, very good attackers, and very versatile attackers at that. So we're going to take this to the tactical board, and we're going to talk about, how Chelsea can actually set up come next season. So I will see y'all in a sec. Alright, so here we are at the tactical board. You can see we have Chelsea's lineup set up. We have Gusto on the bench. I changed it a little bit. I just put Gittins in that left wing spot and took Gusto off so Reece James could play that, right center back position that he played predominantly last season, allowing Cucurella to go into the midfield. But we're talking about how Chelsea can win the league with this lineup. And the thing I'm going to note here is that we can win the league due to versatility. Yeah, I think versatility is the main thing in this lineup. You can see the subs I put on the bench here are players that, Chelsea are either interested in or have through the door, like Lavia, Estevan, Delap, Gusto, and we're interested in Xavi Simons, Morgan Rogers, and Jarell Hatto. So yeah, you can see multiple variations of this tactic here. You can see Palmer playing here with Neto here, and then if you want, you can take Gittins out and you can put Lavia in. Which allows this to happen. Actually, you would put Lavia back here, you'd move Enzo to this right pocket. You see Cucurella becoming this advanced player. So it means you still have this like box midfield. If you want to do a polyline, you can see there's that combination. There's obviously the combination across the entire midfield. We're just going to move this off for now, though. You can see this box that I'm talking about here. I can just use the pin. This box, which Chelsea are obviously very big on, is creating a box midfield. That's pretty much their go-to, is creating a box midfield to just overwhelm opponents, because as you can see here, if you have this box midfield, what's going to happen is you're going to need 2 players to defend 3 just so you can do this, just so you can man mark. Or what happens sometimes is players say, no, we want to man mark this back line, and we're going to bring one of you up, and then you have this, and then you literally just have one-on-one everywhere. And let's say we're just able to play through, Tosin plays to Caicedo plays to Enzo, then what do you have here? You have Palmer or Neto running this way. Obviously Palmer is more likely to cut inside, and then you have João Pedro being able to just cut here, and then direct pass, direct shot, direct goal, most likely. So teams don't do that against Chelsea. Teams don't line up in the way that, they just man mark against us. That's just impossible. They're never going to man mark. So what do? They do something called zonal marking. So our right back obviously takes up Neto. This player will drop, allowing Colwell to advance a little bit, which he does from time to time. And then obviously if you have Cucurella here, you have 2 players kind of occupying this space, which will allow João Pedro to shift. And then you kind of have this zonal marking scheme, which sees, every player just move towards where the ball is. So we're assuming that Neto has his ball here. You can see there's kind of this diagonal shape that gets created with here, with this, and with these 2, or well, these 4. There's 4 separate lines, 4 separate zones. So obviously if the ball gets switched over to this side, same thing happens over here. You just have everyone step out this way, like this, because obviously Reece James is going to bomb up a little bit. You have these midfielders pressing up a tad bit. Cucurella probably less advanced, with Enzo being a little more advanced. So you have this player trying to take this away, and then you obviously have these shifting over just to provide aid, provide a little bit of support, and then you just have this back to constantly checking. If Palmer was to play this ball here or play this ball here, then these 2 would be able to pounce on it. So yeah, that's what Chelsea attempt to do in possession. You can see those rotations throughout the game the entire time. That's why we switched the ball so much, is to try to get this defense to come out in this way, just so we can eventually try to capitalize on a mistake if they aren't shaped up the way that they're supposed to be. And we'll move everyone back here. But yeah, what is Chelsea's transfer business, and how does it correlate to us winning the league? So if we want Palmer to play in his natural position, we're going to take Lavia out. We're going to put Palmer in this advanced 10. Enzo here, Cucurella here. And and then obviously we are missing a right winger. So what you could do next season, if you want this versatile attack, is take Neto off, who could actually play both wings. But let's say we bring in Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons, a player that can, again, if we go back here, can play as left wing, right wing, 10 or false 9. And then you could also bring in Esteval. So what happens here with this, again, this versatility, which I'm going to keep talking about. I'm going to center it actually. And we're just going to make it huge. Because versatility is the name of the game with this tactic. So what happens? You could see Cucurella, instead of coming into this, you have Enzo playing back here. Cucurella becoming this advanced player that plays out here. And you have Xavi Simons, who can play in this spot. But you also have Esteval, who's able to play here too. So what you could do is, we'll just give the ball to Esteval here. You could, realistically, have Palmer and Esteval. Actually, we'll just use the pen. Go like this, as well as this. So you could have these two players, interchange. You could even have these two players interchange. And you could even have these two players interchange if you want them to. Or you could have these two players interchange. You could have Cucurella and Esteval interchange. Esteval can play on that left-hand side. Cucurella cannot play on the right, so I'm not going to say that. But Palmer can come over here and play on this side as well. So you see all the different variations. You could even have, João Pedro come over here to play on this left. You could have João Pedro drop into this number 10 spot, and you have Esteval who's able to play here. You see tons of lines there. That's probably a little confusing. So what I'm saying is, can I get rid of it? Can I get rid of this line? We'll see. Guess not. Little annoying. So yeah, I guess that line is just going to be there permanently, but it's useful for the time being. So you can see Esteval and Palmer most likely interchanging there. So you can, yeah, again, Palmer best in this 10 spot, no doubt about it. But Esteval can hold the width here. Esteval can cut in, which allows Palmer to overlap. But you can see this too. You can see Simons play over here. You can see Palmer play on this left pocket. You can see João Pedro play here. Cucurella move in here, Palmer play false 9, Simons play false 9, or Esteval play false 9, and then you could have Palmer on his right wing interchanging with Simons still. So yeah, name of the game is versatility. That's pretty much what we're going for. If you want Hato to come in the fold, you can move Cucurella out. You can move Enzo here, put Hato in this inverted spot. He can play CDM, he can play left back, he can play left center back. So again, if you don't want Colwell there, if you want Cucurella to come back on, you could drop Hato here, let Colwell play his natural center of defense, and then you have Cucurella being able to be in this pivot if you want him to. Or you could even see what we did last season. Lavia come into this fold, making this, midfield 4, but still have Reece James on the pitch. And what you do is, if the other team has the ball, you just move Caicedo to this right back position. So yeah, tons of versatility on this team, and that is the way that I think we can win the Premier League, is by utilizing this versatility. If we want to, I really want to take off this line, but let's get Simons off, let's get Hato off, let's get Gusto on, and where's Cucurella? There's Cucurella, and Lavia off. So we'll get Neto on. So we'll make the usual Chelsea 11. Well, I guess not usual, but you know what I mean. We had Gusto, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Missing someone. Oh, Tossin. There we go. Okay, there we go. Or, well, I guess it's Chalobah, but we'll just count it as Tossin for now. So, again, the way we set up against PSG, I will demonstrate this right now. In possession, we had Neto on this left wing. I really just want to get rid of this line, but it's just not letting me for some reason. So, we'll just ignore that line. But Palmer here, and we'll just give the ball to Robert Sanchez. You had Gusto literally bombing up the pitch, playing this right wing spot. And obviously Sanchez would long ball to Gusto, who would play down this right hand side. But let's say the other team was in possession. Let's say they were on the attack. You'd have toss and tuck. You'd have Reece James play here. You'd have Enzo drop back, and then, as you can see, you have your numbers back, and you have your back four of a actual back four, because Reece James actually plays right back. But let's say Gusto gets back in time. What you had was Reece James actually dropping into this right center back position, and Gusto making this back five here. With Palmer and Neto actually making this midfield four for some reason. Neto isn't a midfielder, but you still had this little box here to just trap teams in. Obviously, if they bring numbers forward, which PSG are more than likely to, you still have this like zonal marking scheme. You have Hakimi and Nuno Mendes kind of like that. You only have this back two of PSG. I expected it to be a back three. But you have your Neves, your Vitinha, your I guess your Ruiz, your Vitinha, and your Neves here. But you have this box midfield of Chelsea with Neto helping out. You could also see Neto helping out this way in defense, but it was predominantly this. Obviously, João Pedro dropping a little back. So you can see what Maresca is trying to do here. You can see Maresca is trying to get the most versatile players to create multiple different types of tactics. And we will, just go all the way back. I guess I can't get this one out now. So, we'll just always have this little box midfield thing going on, which is really annoying, but, it works in a sense, because that's what Maresca is molded on, is creating a box midfield. Morgan Rogers can do this as well. The same way that I use Xavi Simons is the way that Morgan Rogers is to be used. Delap is your only true 9, so you can't have the rotation of, João Pedro, who can go this, out this way. Delap is literally only playing here. But if you have João Pedro into the fold, and I will move Delap out the way, you could have João Pedro play on this left, you could have João Pedro play in the 10, and you can have João Pedro play on the right. With Delap, you can actually see him play on the right sometimes, but nowhere this way. I mean, nowhere. He cannot play on the left at all. Does not have the best left foot in the world. Right foot in the world, sorry. Can shoot on his right foot, don't get me wrong, but just, technical ability, not the best on his right. But yeah, Chelsea's tactics is the way that we can win the Premier League next season due to versatility. Again, you have Simons able to play left wing, you have Neto able to play left wing, you have Esteval able to play left wing, you have Cole Palmer able to play left wing, you have Morgan Rogers able to play left wing, you have João Pedro able to play left wing, and then you have Gittins able to play left wing. On the right, you have Gusto able to play right wing, you have João Pedro if you need him to. I wouldn't say that's his best position, but if you need him to, he can play right wing. You have Morgan Rogers who can play right wing, you have Palmer, natural at right wing, as well as Esteval. Simons can play right wing if need be, and Neto can play right wing need be. In the 10, you have Simons who can play 10, Esteval, Palmer, Rogers, and João Pedro. And at striker, you have Delap, Pedro, Rogers, Simons, Esteval, and Palmer. So again, these 6. And you can see a common trend with these 6, except for Delap, excuse me. Oh, no, that's not Delap. These 6 are your versatile attackers, and if you want versatile players in the back line, Cucurella, Colwill, Reece James, and Hato can all, or that's not Hato, and Hato can all play here, they can all play here, they can all take up this spot, they can all take up these spots. So, these 4 players can play in any of these 4 zones, except for Colwill. Colwill is any of these 3, but predominantly these 2. But Reece James, Cucurella, Hato can all play midfield. Obviously, Reece James natural there. Hato can play right back if needed. Cucurella too. Seen him play there before. Wasn't awful. So yeah, that is the name of the game. That is how Chelsea will win the Premier League next season, is by using the versatility. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you want me to do more tactical board videos, then I definitely will. Just let me know in the comments. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, it's Repulse, and I'm out. Peace.